You're listening to the Fan2Fan Podcast, and on this episode, we're talking about VHS collecting with Cory Gorski, the man who literally wrote the book on VHS collecting. Be kind, rewind, here we go. Welcome to the Fan2Fan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bernie Gonzalez. With me, as always, fellow co-host Pete Charbonneau. And this week's guest is Cory Gorski. We're talking about VHS collecting, and it made sense to talk to the man who literally wrote the book on VHS collecting. Cory is the author of VHS Collecting, The Modern Relevance of Home Video. Cory, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Out of the gate, Cory, I can see from behind you, you've got literally quite a few shelves that are very reminiscent to like a video store shelf that I would have seen in the heyday of like mom and pop and Blockbuster video stores. So how big is your collection?
Just in my spare room. It's not like how some people have it where it's just an entire basement full of them. Yeah, no, I got a little collection going on here as well.
Okay, gotcha. Are we talking hundreds? Are we talking thousands?
Not a lot. For me, it's more like 600. I mean, considering the fact that I know people who have literally 11, 12,000, this is like considered really small.
There you go. It's small. It's quaint.
I've been collecting it's more space is the kind of thing for me. I just don't have the space for it. Otherwise, I probably would. I'd be a complete hoarder.
If you think $2 can't buy you much entertainment anymore, take a look at what Arrow's Video Club members are watching tonight. Trading Places, War Games, Michael Jackson's Thriller, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Tootsie. Membership is just $15 and lets your whole family enjoy some of the finest video entertainment available anywhere. Over 1,600 titles, each per rent at just $2 the first night and only $1 each extra night. Visit any of the convenient Arrow's Video.
How many working VCRs do you have?
I have about 3. I probably should get more, but the one I have, some Panasonic, it's just been so reliable. Yeah, hit up a thrift store, you'll find them for like $12. No, for me, it's not just the film itself. It's the nostalgia behind it. It's the time we spent at the video stores. It's the time we spent walking around on a Saturday night. It's that whole aspect of it. I mean, I was born in 83, so you can imagine just growing up, it was the kind of hub for entertainment. Anybody in and around our age is going to all say the same thing. On a Saturday night, Friday night, walking around the video store, that's what you did. That was a part of life. It was I call it a community hub. Since that's where you'd meet up with people would know your taste in films and entertainment. It was so much more than just what I'm hoping some younger people don't look back at it like it's a library. I think most people who grew up with it know that it was, so much more than that. It was a part of your lives, really. Actually, there's just a meme I saw the other day online where it talks about, I can't remember it verbatim, but it was something along the lines of like the memories we had. We didn't realize that we were actually making impactful memories. We just sort of experienced it. And I think that the video store is one of those big memes within our life from back in the day where we could actually, it meant a lot more to us. It was a place that we would congregate for entertainment.
Pete, you and I have talked about going to the video store on quite a few episodes on the podcast. Cory, what was that experience for you like? Because we've talked to a ton of people. I remember talking to Austin Trunick, who wrote the books about the Canon films, and he mentioned how when he went to the video store, it was at a grocery store. And I certainly remember that video store. Videos were available at gas stations, mom and pops, of course. There's Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, Family Video. But what was that experience like for you?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm an only child, so it was more like I would go there with my, one of my parents or a family member, and I'd pick out a stack. But as you get older, I would end up going there with friends, and we'd all end up getting 1 or 2. I'm trying to remember, it was probably around the late 90s when a lot of video stores kind of caught on to the whole 7 movies for 7 days for $7 kind of thing. 777. And so we'd all like kind of split that up and we'd all kind of try and pick something. Of course, I'd end up picking the weird horror B movies, weird old cult films, all of that.
Now, I have to ask Cory, because this was an experience that I had with friends of mine. My cousin and I would religiously go to the video store before, here in the States, before Blockbuster took over. You had your mom and pop stores. My cousin and I lived about 45 minutes apart, so we would have sleepovers all the time, and like all we would do was go get ice cream and then go to the video store. And there was always one, since you are a horror fan, there was always the box of Faces of Death Faces of Death 2, Faces of Death 3, that we would walk by about 7 or 8 times, be like, I don't know. Should we try and rent it? They're going to let us rent it. And like, this was like always, we'd end up never getting it. I think at some point we finally did, but we would always settle for something else because we were I wasn't really scared, but it was like one of those, like it carried like this urban legend and urban myth before we had even seen it. So I mean, did you have an experience like that with Faces of Death or some other movie?
Yeah, they didn't have Faces of Death. I mean, some of the video stores I went to, they let me rent all kinds of things as a kid. Like, I remember walking up to the clerk with a Clockwork Orange and then be like, you really shouldn't be renting this. I'm like, just give it to me. Just give it to me. And
do you remember how old you were, Cory?
I had probably like 11. Yeah, I think it's a good age to be exposed to that. I'm trying to think of like actual covers that kind of creep me out. I think the Warner clamshell of David Cronenberg's Rabid, where it's just got the woman in the refrigerator all dead. That one I never rented that, actually. I still have to see it to this day. I'm going to soon. It's on the list. But that was one where I looked at it, I'm like, no, I'd put it back. It was just a little kind of too creepy.
One of the big things we've always talked about too with the like video store experience, Cory, is how there is a distinction between the mom and pop video store and the big franchises. So in your neck of the woods in Canada, what was close to you? Did you get a chance to hit up the mom and pops in their heyday? Was Blockbuster, Family Video already kind of franchising and kind of taking over?
Blockbuster came in later. I was still exposed to the actual mom and pops and kind of did their own thing. Still had the back room with the beads. They did whatever they wanted. Like I mentioned in the book, it was kind of the Wild West when it came to the mom and pops, really.
The back room with the beads transcends borders because I mean, he had experienced the same exact thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have that experience with your dentist.
Yeah, my dentist come walking out of the beads with a stack of porn movies, which is great when I was about 14. And like, way to go, Dr. Last.
Wow.
Having a party.
Hopefully your dentist, Pete, didn't accumulate too many late fees, or maybe he did. And also, good for him. Cory, all right, so you wrote the book on collecting and certainly kind of dipping into the nostalgia behind all of it. Because in some ways, I mean, I think it's probably fair to say it's a piece of lost media. It's not like they make VCRs anymore. So what is kind of like the state of VHS collecting, again, from someone who literally wrote the book on it?
I mean, I almost feel like I'm commenting more on what I see with other people and their obsession. I don't think, like, I've kind of limited just because of space. I've limited myself. But I mean, just going back for me, it was buying a copy of Return of the Living Dead Part 2 from a local convenience store where I was, again, like 11, 12 years old. And I didn't realize, like, why are these movies in a bin? Like, are they for rent? And you'd say, no, so I can't rent it to you. They're for sale. I can own this? Like, this isn't a rental. I can own this. Yeah. And so that was the first VHS I bought. And I just slowly collected over years. I've had friends in the community who, like the VHS collecting community, whom were extremely inspirational. Just the whole video store in the basement, the replica racks. And for me, that was really inspiring, just to take it to the next level and at least unpack it out of the closet and like set it up in a studio, give it the whole feel. Yeah, since then, I really realized that there's a big time VHS collecting community online. Multiple Facebook groups, multiple social media, Instagram, everything. People are buying and trading. There's VHS swaps going on in almost every major city. It's pretty happening. In fact, I'd say now is like the peak time where you're seeing prices skyrocket, but that's kind of a whole other issue.
I have to imagine, Cory, this is, like you said, since this is linked to the nostalgia, like your specific nostalgia, right? And in the VHS community, I'm sure there has to be a Betamax collecting community, a Laserdisc collecting community, but those were probably not the formats that were available at your local store. It was VHS. So that's where your nostalgia kind of links to that specific format.
Yeah, I think it's the most popular for sure. I mean, it is. There was actually, I didn't even realize, but the city I'm living in now is, I didn't grow up here, but a buddy was telling me they actually had a video store that was strictly CED video discs, not laser discs, the old style big floppy disk looking films. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
They were huge, right? I mean, they were like the Disney clamshell, like when they would release them, but like that kind of like foamy kind of plastic, but large, right?
Yeah. It looked like it literally looked like giant floppy disks with movie artwork on it. It's really cool. They played terribly, so it didn't last very long. But VHS totally took over at one point. So that's what most people are into now as far as nostalgia.
I think for or like a subculture like this, I have to imagine that now there's holy grails, movies that are just incredibly hard to find, especially when you're talking, thousands of people, which may sound like a lot, but it's actually a small subset of people that, are into VHS collecting. And because of that, they know, Cory, some of the movies that are just popping up on eBay. You've got the eBay alerts set. You're looking out for them. What is that like?
Most things you could find if you're patient and you know the tricks and you're able to talk to people in the community and to be quite honest, throw some money around if you're willing to spend more than like $90. For me, I was looking for a copy of Video Dead for the longest time because it just sort of became a sought after tape. And the only thing I haven't been able to find that's really, really tough is kind of an obscure horror movie called Ghost Keeper, but not the regular version. It came out on a Canadian label out of Quebec called Videoville. It was basically a ripoff of those Warner clamshell tapes where they tried to copy the way it looks. It's really tough to find, but that's probably like the last grail on my list.
In preparing to talk to you, I was watching Rewind This and Adjust Your Tracking, and I heard about, they seemed to mention, what was it, Tales of the Quad Dead?
Quad Dead, yeah.
Okay, so it seems like that movie has just like a big following where people have paid up to almost $700 for this movie on VHS.
Oh, more than that now. I think it's probably up to well over 1,000. It's hard to say. It's still the Wild West in some ways, but yeah, that's a Chester Novel Turner film that from what I understand, he drove around the U.S. kind of like putting into video stores and just, I don't know if he paid them or what, but that was exclusive to the United States, I believe.
So what's your holy grail, Cory? What's that one movie that, other collectors would be jealous that you have on your shelves?
I've got a copy of the big box for Return of the Aliens Deadly Spawn, which is a monster movie that had trouble tracking down as a kid, but finally was able to get it, and multiple formats too. Yeah, it's a pretty sick monster film back from like early 80s. Yeah, it's just like really effects driven, really campy, but at the same time, there's a lot of heart, a lot of DIY from the director, and you can kind of see it in the film. That's probably my personal favorite. It's something out of like a 13-year-old boy's kind of imagination sort of thing. It's just a gruesome looking alien, somewhat of a Aliens ripoff, but not really. It's still got a lot of like uniqueness and heart to it.
Well, I have to guess, when you kind of started your collection, did you start with things that you had memories of renting and watching? Like, did you watch that movie and that's why you wanted to get that one in your collection, the Spawn movie?
No, that's kind of a long story, but basically I was at a video store that was closing up. I'd seen it on the shelf, and I'm like, Return. They like, basically the idea is that they tried to get people to rent it by putting Return on it, but it's a standalone film. There is no original Deadly Spawn. I'm like racking my brain here, thinking, did I see the first one? Like, what is this? And I took it to the counter, and they're like, listen, we're closing, but yeah, everything here's for sale. I'm like, okay, great, I'll buy this. And anyway, long story short, it turns out they were only taking cash. I didn't have any cash. I only had debit. So they said, okay, come back the next day and we'll put it to the side for you. When I came back the next day, it was all boarded up. Everything had been gutted. The floors had been swept. It was just an empty warehouse. So for the longest time, I couldn't find it until later on. I took a vacation to Tokyo, of all places, and I found the Japanese clamshell copy of it.
From a collector's standpoint, Cory, will you collect multiple copies of the same film as almost like a bargaining chip? Like if you're looking to find something else, like you can be like, hey, I've got 3 copies of this. I had one to spare, and can we do a trade? How does, when you're talking to other collectors and they may have something that you want or vice versa, like how does that transaction go down?
I personally don't really do that too much. I'd rather like leave it on the shelf and let somebody who really needs it get it. But at the same time, like, yeah, I'm trading all the time. Trading is like a big thing now in the collecting community. So yeah, I mean, if you have doubles of something, yeah, for sure, it's a trading chip. I've traded stuff all the time. I didn't really hold any nostalgia to the copy that I just mentioned I found in Japan in Tokyo. But I ended up trading it for a big box of Terror on tape from Continental Home Video. So yeah, I mean, you could trade stuff all like it's a big thing now in the community for sure.
Yeah, to pull out this bad boy.
Dawn of the Dead. Nice. Is that the double VHS one, Pete?
No, it was single. I got this. This was like probably the first VHS tape that I ever bought. And I'm trying to remember how old I was. I definitely was in the 80s, and I saw it in a catalog that my parents got. And I'm like, ooh, I want to get this, because my cousin and I rented it one time, like many other people, fell in love with the film and was like, I've got to own this. And throughout the years, while I've never had a ton of VHS tapes, but I did have a fair amount at one point as I pared that down, as I've moved around. That's like the one that I've always made sure to just hold on to. Just like it's a total nostalgia thing. I do have a VCR because I digitized some like home movies that me and some friends, some wacky stuff that we did in high school. But yeah, I'm keeping that one as long as I can.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Dawn of the Dead, you can't go wrong. That's like one of my top 5 favorite films of all time.
Come see the difference at Major Video.
It's in. They've got it.
They have lots and lots of kids stuff for us.
One of the largest selections, 32 different categories. See it.
What a difference.
We can rent them for 3 evenings. More videos.
Come see the difference.
More selection. More fun.
See the difference. Come see the difference at Major Video.
What's one of the things that has been fun or kind of new for you, Cory, in the world of VHS collecting?
It was just getting to know folks in the community that I didn't really realize existed. I mean, I had always been interested in collecting physical media, but just learning more and more from people that I work with, people I was meeting up with. I held a VHS swap in Toronto about 3 years ago now. And I was just shocked at how many people came out. I was worried it was going to be, 3 or 4 of us in a dark room, just looking at tapes out of a dusty box. But no, I had people coming raiding off the street, people going back home and dragging stuff out. And we did it at an old video store. The whole place was crowded. It was a blast. And so that was kind of inspiration for me to like actually say, hey, this is something that's happening right now. And so why not document it? Nobody had written a book on it. And it was just a fun thing to write. It goes into the history of the video stores, the idea behind collecting, the history behind tapes, and a little bit on the distribution. And I tried to hit as much as I could on the whole subject.
And I have to imagine in like a community like that, it's got to be small and tight knit. As someone who's collecting a format that, some people would consider dead, it's like you guys are kind of like the gatekeepers to make sure that, hey, the right people are keeping this legit, that they're keeping the trading square and like people are shipping when they're supposed to, because it seems like it is probably all about reputation.
Yeah, that plays a big part in it. Yeah, but what's more common is like finding a tape and then it's the wrong one inside. Simple. I mean, if somebody's going to grift or try and do something like that, what they're going to do is they're just going to take your money and run. I don't find a lot of people like double taping or taping over certain tapes. I haven't really seen that happen. One of the bigger problems is mold. Like somebody won't check a tape to see if it's got mold built up inside, since that happens on magnetic tape for some reason. Other than that, it's been pretty good.
That does get me to wonder, especially you mentioned you have 3 VCRs. Have you just kind of become, like by default, or maybe YouTube videos, like a VCR repairman, just to not only repair like your own VCRs, but also like, going to thrift shops and finding equipment to kind of piece together something, or you're like, hey, this VCR is pretty good, I just want to keep it working?
I know I haven't. I know some people who do, but it's just so much easier to get a new one. I mean, thrift stores usually have stacks of them. I don't know about the U.S. I hear strange stories from people in the U.S. where they're like, it's impossible to find it in this state. I don't know. I've been across a few places in Canada. I've never had a problem finding one if I need one. So you guys tell me. I don't know. Is it more scarce there or something?
I don't know that I've seen any in like a Target or something. Unlike vinyl, like I've seen record players now where you can see the occasional like Adele or something will come out with an album and they'll have the vinyl next to the CD, or a more like a classic album where they'll have that. But I haven't seen a VCR at like a Target or a Walmart.
I don't even know if they're manufacturing them particularly. I know sometimes, though, you could find the DVD VCR combo, but even that's pretty obscure at this point.
And it seems like it's connected to the same reason why you collect VHS, going back to that nostalgia, bringing back those memories of, what you loved back when you were growing up, and whether it's in the music or the VHS and the movies, like it all goes back to trying to relive some of those really good memories that you had when you were younger.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I mean, hopefully, I don't want to seem like I'm only about nostalgia. I like the idea of looking forward, and, there's a lot of cool stuff being created today. And I'm at the point now where every time I watch an old VHS, I want to make sure I watch some new horror movie or some new whatever is popular out there right now in relation to that. Just so I don't feel like, because sometimes I find some people only want to live in nostalgia. I think it's important to understand that there's, you have to appreciate it through the lens of present day as well. There's a lot of cool stuff now too, but yeah, I mean, obviously this is coming from a guy who's surrounded by old dusty tapes, of course.
Hey, I got a science fiction home video I can beam aboard my ship. You do? Ah, good. I'll take 4.
Are you looking for a video store that goes beyond the ordinary?
Oh, samurai video. Oh.
A store with a vast assortment of video subjects.
I want a really small Shamrock video.
If you're looking for a store where every video on display is always ready to rent, then come to Paradise and let your video dreams come true.
So there are still vinyl that are being released. Again, we mentioned Target earlier, and I've seen like a newer Taylor Swift release at Target. I know there's a few boutique labels that release or re-release cassettes, especially for soundtracks for horror movies. But I don't hear anybody else really making, at least, I guess, on a mass scale, VHS. I think I've seen a few boutique labels that have made a few like small printings, but I think the days of mass producing VHS is over, right?
That's hard to say. A lot of people will say the movie A History of Violence. That was with Viggo Mortensen, right? Yeah, that was probably the last film put out on VHS for wide North American release ever, as best as people can tell. It's nobody's 100% sure, but that seems to be what it is. So I believe that's 2007. Yeah, I think that was the last one put out by a major Hollywood distribution company.
So if one of the good things, Cory, is meeting people in the world of VHS collecting and getting to know the groups, especially through like swap meets and trade groups and stuff like that, what's one of the unfortunate cons? What's one of the negatives that you've seen along the way?
The less people like hoarding stuff at the thrift store where I have to like pry it out of their bloody hands. Yeah, I mean, like it's at a point now, it's getting bad with eBay where like if you go to the thrift stores and you just hang out by the tape section, you'll see people walk up and just with eBay out on their phone, just looking at each one. How much is it worth? How much is it worth? That just ruins it for everybody.
You mentioned that you do some trading, but it sounds like you also hit up the thrift stores. Do you still kind of get that charge of walking into a place? Like, it's almost like, I wonder what I'm going to discover here. Like, maybe this time there's going to be something that's going to wow me and like, I've got to grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the same thing like collecting toys, collecting any old sort of thing that you could find from a garage sale that you collect. Yeah, no, absolutely. I still try and hit up all the local thrift stores, pawn shops, marketplace, all that. Yeah, it's a huge part of it.
So, Cory, thanks for joining us again. Author of VHS Collecting, the Modern Relevance of Home video. Cory, where can folks find you? Where can folks find your book?
You could hit up Amazon. It's through KDP Publishing. VHS Collecting. Even if you just type in VHS book on Amazon, it's the first thing that pops up.
And people got to find your Instagram feed because that's how I found you, and checking out all the VHS that you highlight at VHS Collecting, right?
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Been a blast, guys. Thanks for having me on.